So, apparently Spirit Halloween made a movie. I accidentally stumbled across this movie, once again on Tubi, and I was shocked because I'd never heard of Spirit Halloween making a movie. And even crazier is that Christopher Lloyd is in this movie, who you might know from possibly his most famous role, a hacker from Cyberchase. So I just had to watch this movie. The movie starts off with Christopher Lloyd going to this orphanage and he's talking to the lady who owns it and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna tear this place down. You'd better get out of here and get the kids out because bulldozers will be coming in this afternoon." And then she curses him and he dies in like the first 2 minutes of the movie. We then jump to present day with the main character and his friends. They're bicycling around town and they come across Spirit Halloween, and one of them literally goes, "Oh, a creepy pop-up Halloween store. We've got to check it out." So they go inside the store just like looking around, and then the main character goes, "Oh, we should totally get our Halloween costumes from here." And then his friend Carson says, yeah, about that. We're not going trick-or-treating this year." It's basically like that one episode of Gravity Falls where Dipper didn't want to go trick-or-treating with Mabel and instead wanted to go hang out with Wendy's friends. Carson wants to go to this high schooler's Halloween party that his older sister's going to, but the main character, his name is Jake, is all upset. He's like, "What? No, we always go trick-or-treating every year. We can't just not go this year." And the whole point of his character through this movie is supposed to be like, oh, he doesn't like change because his dad died, and his dad and him really liked Halloween. Jake tries to get his other friend named Bo to agree with him, but Bo's sticking by Carson's side. And Bo is also the best character in this whole movie. He wears these shirts, they have like science puns on them. His whole character is that he just likes science and he makes science puns. Which I'll admit, I really like science puns, even if I failed biology class. I'm terrible when it comes to that. I also can't do Punnett swears. If somebody held a gun to my head and said, "Do this Punnett square and you can live," I just tell them to pull the trigger because I can't do it. I think I'd honestly rather die than do a Punnett square anyway. Moving on, Jake goes back home and he sees his stepdad, his mom, and his little stepsister outside decorating the house for Halloween, and his stepsister is like setting up princess decorations, and he's angry because princesses aren't scary. And his mom, who is also a well-known actress, she was in She's All That, and then she was in the reboot which has Addison Rae in it. He's All That. The mom defends the little girl and she's like, "Hey, stop being a jerk, alright?" And then his stepdad also gets on to him. So they go back inside. And Jake is all upset, especially since his stepdad told him to hang up some lights around the house. And Jake is scared of heights. So he's like, "You don't know me at all. Nobody in this family understands me." So he goes to Carson's house. And there he sees Carson's older sister. And he has a crush on her. They talk for a bit before he goes up to Carson's room, and Carson is watching alpha male TikTok edits. I'm not even kidding. I wouldn't be surprised if he was the type of guy who watches those Patrick Bateman edits on TikTok. Anyways, Jake convinces Carson that they should do something else on Halloween, and Jake will figure out what they should do instead of crashing a random high schooler's party. Later, Jake is getting ready to go to the movie theater with his friends, and his stepsister comes inside, and she's like, I'm not even kidding, she says this word for word, "I'm sorry your dad died from bone cancer." I don't know why this line was necessary, because it wasn't. We already knew the kid's dad was, in fact, dead. We didn't need to know exactly what he died from. I know kids will sometimes just say random things, but I feel like that line was really forced. And maybe if we found out this information in just a more natural feeling way, I would take it more seriously. Because, cancer is nothing to laugh at. But, I just have a hard time taking that line seriously when it was delivered that way. Jake goes to the theater and there's, this little puppet show, I guess, going on. And it tells the story of Christopher Lloyd and how his spirit still kind of haunts the town. And after the show, everyone's just kind of hanging around. And there is Carson's sister. And she's like, "You guys aren't going to the party." And Carson is like, "What? But Mom and Dad are going to be out of town. You gotta keep an eye on us, so we should get to go." And then Jake is like, "No, you can have a sleepover at my house." And then Carson gets all upset. And Jake is like, "But we agreed that I could find something cooler for us to do." And I did. We're going to stay at Spirit Halloween all Halloween night. And so they go, and they're having a blast at Spirit Halloween. And you can too! But that's when Christopher Lloyd's ghost shows himself. He possesses one of the animatronics and starts chasing them around the store. Luckily, they get into a storage room and lock the door. Since Christopher Lloyd is a ghost, he should just be able to climb his way on that animatronic and just breeze through the door since he's a ghost. But he can't do that for some reason? Oh no! Locked doors, my one and only weakness. But meanwhile, Carson's sister drops through the roof of Spirit Halloween because Carson left his phone behind at the house, and her mom likes him to have his phone on him at all times, so she's going to, like, Jake's and Bo's house looking for Carson, but when she finds out that they lied about having the sleepover, she sits down in defeat before somehow figuring out that they're at Spirit Halloween. So Christopher Lloyd leaves the door to try to find an animatronic that can bust the door down. The boys sneak out, and they're like, how are we supposed to get out here? Whenever they run into Carson's sister, and she says that she dropped down from the roof, so they're trying to get back up to the roof to climb through the sky hole or whatever. But Christopher Lloyd is walking towards them. Carson's sister understandably freaks out before she just destroys Christopher Lloyd. Well, she doesn't kill him, but she does gymnastics, so she kicks him, and then they run back into the storage room. And as they're trying to find a way out, they find a secret passageway. It leads under the Spirit Halloween, and there's a giant cave system all under the Spirit Halloween. And under all this is just this old shack, which it's too small to be the orphanage, because, like, all this was built on top of the orphanage. But this old shack isn't the orphanage, it's just an old shack. So they go inside, and then there's a clue on how to defeat Christopher Lloyd. But he's caught up to them, and they all run out of the shack, and then Bo is the best. He turns around, and he pulls out the bug spray that he got earlier in this lighter, and he sets Christopher Lloyd's, like, animatronic that he's possessing on fire. And then they run all the way back up to the store to try to get out, but the thing they were going to use to climb up to the ceiling has been destroyed by none other than Christopher Lloyd. So they decide to try to kill him instead. They have to get 3 things that Christopher Lloyd has possessed, and then they have to get something that's personal to them, and then they have to burn it all together, thus releasing Christopher Lloyd's spirit. And Carson's sister offers up a necklace that her grandmother gave her, but stupid Jake loses it, so then he has to use this photo of his dad instead. But everything goes wrong. Carson walks away because he's the worst, and then something happens to his sister where she just, like, falls and gets knocked unconscious, and since she's unconscious, Christopher Lloyd can possess her, leaving Carson and Jake to finally make up and apologize to one another, and then they jump right back into action trying to save his sister. Their plan ends up working, and the day is saved. And then Jake admits his feelings to Carson's sister, and she obviously tells him no, since she's quite a few years older than him. Then there's a time skip to next Halloween where Jake has finally accepted change and has learned to love his family. And you know, I didn't hate this movie. I really thought it was just going to be like a bad movie that I could point and laugh at and just enjoy watching it. But I did enjoy watching it in a different way than I thought I would. And I was watching this movie with someone, and they said something that I just have to agree on. And it's that there's not really a whole lot of these movies being made nowadays, and what do I mean by that? It's like these kind of family-friendly horror movies that the whole family can watch for Halloween. And I thought about what they said, and I thought that they were right, because I really haven't seen a lot of these movies being made nowadays, unless, you know, I just haven't heard of them, and I'd be glad to be wrong, because I want more of these sort of movies. I remember whenever I was a lot younger, I would watch movies like Watcher in the Woods, or Mr. Boogedy, which, both good Halloween movies, by the way. Mr. Boogedy is more humorous and funny, while Watcher in the Woods is a lot more serious, but I still think that they're both pretty good movies. And that stands for the Spirit Halloween movie, too. It's not bad. I mean, I can't forgive the, I'm sorry your dad died from bone cancer line. I can't. That was not a very good line. But there were genuinely funny lines in this movie that were actually supposed to be funny. And for the most part, the dialogues felt kinda natural, like the kids talked like actual kids. There were some lines where I was just like, no middle schooler is going to talk like this. they'll often go like, oh, darn it, that darn ghost. And I don't remember any middle school boys ever talking like that, or at least not unironically. I just remember having math class, and our math class was in the middle school hallway, so you'd hear them running around and they'd just be screaming in the hallway, and then another teacher would have to pop their head out of their room and yell at them to stop because they're disrupting class. But yeah, other than that, I really can't find much else wrong with this movie. It's alright. I think the only downside is that it's a Spirit Halloween movie. Like, the entire movie is an advertisement for Spirit Halloween. But at the same time, the fact that this movie is a giant advertisement for Spirit Halloween is what makes it stick out. And I probably wouldn't have even made a video about this movie if it wasn't a Spirit Halloween movie. But for being a giant advertisement for Spirit Halloween, I guess the movie really isn't as bad as I thought it would be. I'd honestly say give it a watch. Christopher Lloyd is probably the best part of this entire movie, though, I won't lie. With all that being said, thank you for watching all the way until the end of this video, and I hope you enjoyed. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Happy Halloween!